Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Unexpected Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we're back with one of our previous clients, and we're going to talk all about the rebrand experience and everything that kind of happened with it. But before we get started, would you like to introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are, what you do, how long you've been in business, all that great stuff?
Yes, absolutely. So I am Stephanie Lamar. I am an adventure elopement photographer and I live in Death Valley National Park, which is super awesome and unique. And I love that fact. It's one of my favorite things to share. I am very lucky. I've been in business since 2021. Back then, I didn't actually know where I wanted to take the business. I knew I wanted to do photography, but couples and elopements were kind of not really on my radar yet. And eventually I niched down after my mom was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. And that whole ordeal just helped me get really clear on the way that I want to spend my time. And ultimately, nothing is as fulfilling to me as documenting people's weddings and elopements. I feel like I'm helping couples leave a visual legacy, and through that, I'm leaving my own legacy, which is really cool. So
I
I know I just took us really deep, really fast.
No, I
That's
love
why I
that.
love doing what I do.
I love that, and I think it's so important and, like, so underrated to literally sit back and be like, "What do I love doing?" And, like, "What do I wanna
Mhm.
leave?" Like, "What legacy do I wanna leave? What do I wanna help other people do?" Like, that's such an underrated thing to actually, like, think about when it comes to, doing something like this, so I absolutely love that.
Thanks.
If we're thinking about your brand and website, were there any challenges that you kind of had with them before you started working with us or anything that you were kind of like, this was the moment that I knew that I needed something different?
Yes, for sure. I'm just gonna say everything was generic. When I was first getting started, I was really trying to emulate a lot of the big names that I saw in the
Mhm.
industry, and I think I lost myself in that, trying to blend in and trying to appear legitimate. Like, I really kind of lost what made me unique. And so it was fine at the beginning. Then, after a few years in business, it became really clear to me that it was time for something new. People, family and friends would compliment me on my website, but in my head, I was like not meeting my standards. And I felt like I started to feel a little bit embarrassed to share my website, honestly. Like, my marketing was taking a hit because I wasn't proud of the very first thing people see,
Mhm.
when I push my name out there. And so it really became clear to me that a change was needed. And I put the ask out on Instagram. I said, friends in the industry, who do you recommend? And I'm so glad someone brought you up to me.
Absolutely. And I think that's such a good point because I think a lot of us fall into this kind of hole when we first start out of looking at other people who are successful in the industry and kind of seeing like, okay, what are they doing? Like, how can I, be at their level or do what they're doing or whatever it might be. And I think one of the really hard things to separate is sometimes things are working for them because that's who they are. And it's hard to be able to like copy and paste something from someone else into your business and make it work because you're two completely different people and you're two completely different businesses and you probably work with different people and you want to do different things. And so it's really hard because we're like, I want to be successful and this is what I see successful people doing, but that doesn't
Exactly.
necessarily mean that that's what's going to be successful for you. So I think that's great. It's
100%.
such a hard thing to like get yourself out of and like break yourself apart from and be like, okay,
Yeah.
I think I need to do this instead.
For sure. I tried to dig myself out of the hole a little bit, but I definitely got to a point where I was like, I just need to hire professionals.
With your previous, brand and website, were those things that you were doing on your own? How long have you been like kind of trying to do them on your own before, you were like, okay, let me get the pros in for this.
Yeah, I was definitely doing it on my own. You probably hear this a lot, but Canva was definitely my friend at the beginning. And, I asked my cousin actually, who's really good with InDesign and Photoshop and all that. I said, "Can you design me a logo?" And it was fine, but the criteria was does this look nice?
Mhm.
There was no thought beyond that. So when I was thinking about the direction I wanted to take things, I really felt like I needed professionals who could take my vision and kind of like bring that technical and designer eye to everything and to really just take it to the next level because Canva templates only get you so far.
Yeah. It's definitely something where, we'll even say to ourselves, like, even with websites, when you're first starting out, a website template is great because you're still figuring things out. You're not sure what you want to do, what you want to offer, all of this stuff. But then once you're like, no, I'm solid in like who I am and what I want to do, I feel like you start to feel that disconnect very quickly from things that are templates to what you actually want and your vision for it. Because you
Yes.
know, templates are amazing, but they are just that, they're templates. So everyone's going to use it and you might find things that look the same and you're like, now I don't stand out and this doesn't really fit the aesthetic that I'm going, like it's almost there, but it's like not really there and I don't know what's
Yeah.
missing, but like something's missing. And I feel like that's a really,
Yes.
once you start to feel that, it quickly snowballs and you're like, everything just feels off right now.
100%. And I started to notice other people's websites. I would be able to pinpoint if they were using the same template that I was. And that just like killed me a little bit. I don't know that clients were necessarily putting that together. Maybe they were, but it was not a good feeling.
It's a really big thing, especially with some of the, more popular, bigger templates out there. They might look great, but you might also have 30 different photographers using them. And, like you said, you started to pick up on it. While everybody might not pick up on it, if it is multiple people in the same area that are using it and they're like pulling your sites up side by side and they're like, I was just on this site. Like, what's going on here? It's something that you can run into. So it
Yep.
is definitely, I feel like you get to that point where you're like, "No, I don't want anyone to mistake my business for someone else's." Now, I know it hasn't been too long since we launched our website, but how have kind of the brand and the website as a whole been working for you since you launched it? Have you seen anything, seen any results, seen any, clients coming to you saying anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I immediately got amazing feedback from both friends in the industry and from current and past clients. And that feedback really meant the most to me because if current clients and past clients who I loved working with love the brand, then it just made me feel like I'm going to attract more of those types of people who I really want to
Mhm.
work with. So that just made me feel amazing. People have been super, super kind. But on the technical side, I am already serving people better. You know, I feel like this site upgrade has allowed me to upgrade so many other systems on the back end, and I'm now discovering the joys of automation, which is just life changing. And it's that alone is helping me serve people better because inquiries get responses automatically. Nothing's falling through the cracks. My calendar is updated automatically. Like there's just this cascading effect of stress relief
Mhm.
that has come from the brand, which is just thrilling and exactly what I hoped for.
And I think that's a great point because a lot of times we look at it and we're like, okay, one, people love it, great. And especially when you're seeing, current clients and past clients that you loved working with being like, I love this. Like, yes, that's such a great feeling because you're like, okay, this is built for the right people. It's showing up the way I want it to
Yeah.
show up. But then sometimes just having that first step, that starting point is like, okay, now everything in my business needs to be up to this level. Like this is now here and everything else can't be down here. So it kind of gives you that little like boost and motivation to be like, okay, let me get everything else together. And, one, like you said, it's causing you less stress. Automations are like
Yeah.
king. We love literally anything we can automate. We try to automate because it really takes so much stress off of you. And sometimes, like, yes, it probably takes you 3 or 4 minutes to respond to an inquiry, but then 3 or 4 minutes every single day, every single week, pulling you away from tasks, doing all of this, like that 3 or 4 minutes is much bigger than just 3 or 4 minutes of brain space. Like it's taking up so much more. So
Yes.
having all of that is such a time saver and lifesaver. But I also think it's the entire client experience from start to finish. Like we want to make sure that yes, they see your brand, they land on your website, it looks great, but then the rest of the client experience that they have is also really great. So I think, this is an amazing thing that it kind of was like the first thing, like, okay, now I got this. Let me get everything else together. Let me make
Yeah,
sure that, people are really loving every single aspect of working with me.
exactly. I totally agree. The client experience point is like, yes, like it's not just the top of my sales funnel that I've updated, it's like everything. So
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Do you have a favorite part of rebranding with us or anything that maybe surprised you throughout the process?
Yeah, so every time I got an email from you all with like the newest draft, I legitimately like jumped up and down and clapped and squealed because I was so excited. It was like Christmas morning every time I got a draft. But truly, like beyond that, I my favorite part was that you all made me feel really heard. You really took what I was thinking about and really ran with it. I was
Mhm.
so afraid that what I had in my head was too specific or corny, and I'm just so happy that you all were like really listened to what I was saying, what I was hoping it would be, and y'all just ran with it, and I'm just so thrilled with it. And I was surprised that there was like more of a system to it. You have a very specific structure, and I thought that was really cool to experience. It wasn't just like a graphic designer flying by the seat of their pants or seeing if they're inspired that day. Like you asked really good questions, and all of that really felt comforting to me, and like there was quality control. So that did surprise me.
Yeah, I think it's very important when it comes to something like this where it is so big for your business and so important to so many different pieces. It's really important to be able to, sit down and ask those questions and really, dig deep, and we always want to be collaborative because I mean, we can make something and be like this is the best thing in the world, and if you don't like it, like you don't like it. It needs to connect with the clients, but it also needs to be something that you're proud to show off and you're like, I love this. I'm so excited to now put this everywhere and like I can't wait to share
Hmm.
it. So I think that's super important and we love that. That's always something we always try to, aim for, is making sure that we're not just kind of this faceless designer that's sitting out there and just giving you things and being like, here you go, but actually have these, conversations and feedback and going back and forth to make sure that you really love what you're getting. But yeah, we are very timeline oriented, deadline oriented, be like, this is what you're gonna get. And I think a
Yeah.
big thing, because we don't want anything to be unexpected in a bad way. We like doing unexpected things in design, but not I have no idea when I'm ever going to get my brand or website.
Yes.
And I think it really helps because it helps us stay on track and be able to, deliver everything, but it also gives you really clear ideas of when things are going to be set. You can plan, when things are going to launch, what is due, which is a huge thing of like here's when we need your stuff by so that we can get this done for you in a way that works really well. So we always love when people are like, "No, I love the process and I love that there is a schedule and timelines and all of this stuff," because it
Yes.
just
My
it
type A side was like,
yeah, it
yes.
really makes it so much easier when everything is organized and everybody knows exactly what's expected of them throughout every single step.
Absolutely. I recommend it to everyone.
Well, I have one more question for you, and that is, how confident do you feel now with your new brand and website?
There aren't words. There aren't words. I feel so confident now. I I worked really hard to shed that scarcity mindset that I think a lot of entrepreneurs, creatives encounter when they're first starting out. The feeling that the constant comparison to other
Mhm.
people, which is really easy to do, especially on Instagram and other platforms. Um, and that still creeps back in for me sometimes, but I really feel like this new brand and website has alleviated so much of that for me because my brand is so solidly me. Like that website is me on a plate that I really don't think anyone can replicate it.
Mhm.
And I just don't think that I can't compare myself to anyone now because I don't see anyone who is doing the same things or looks the same, website wise. So that is such a huge confidence booster and just makes me feel so much better about pushing my website out to everyone and really just going hard on marketing.
Well, we absolutely love to hear that. Love that you love it, that your clients love it, and that you feel more connected with it. Because you're right, once you have something that's just totally you, like no one else is gonna be able to touch it. It's just not gonna be the same. You're not being like, like, am I comparing myself to this person because you're playing two different sports. You're not even on the same field.
Yes.
So I I absolutely love that. We had so much fun working with you, and we love how everything turned out. If anyone listening wants to go check out the new Brandon website, or maybe wants to have some Death Valley elopement photos taken, where can they find you online?
Yes, please go check it out. The new website is www.stephlemarphoto.com. And you can connect with me personally on Instagram at stephlemarphoto.
Perfect. Well, we will put those links down in the description. Thank you again so much for coming on today, and we will catch you in the next episode.
Thank you.